Flashlights these days headline with some impressive max output numbers. 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 lumens. But then you dig a little bit deeper and find out that these are usually just the turbo modes that in many cases only last for a few moments. This is the Sofirn SC28, an EDC flashlight that boasts 2,800 lumens and a runtime of 3 hours. But in a world that is saturated with high-performance EDC flashlights, is the SC28 the right choice for you? Let's find out.
This is Sparta!
Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And man, I am excited to talk about this because I've had the opportunity recently to check out quite a few different flashlights on the market, and it's given me some perspective. And shout out to Sofirn for sending this my way. Now, full disclosure, this was released like 4 or 5 months ago, and initially I was going to get in on that, but things happened. The review got delayed. I just recently got this in, and so now we're going to review it now. And I will, in fact, include some footage of me using the light so that you have an idea of what these modes look like in the dark. And inside the box, there's nothing because I've already taken it out. And of course, I've already tested it. But what you get in the box is going to be a lanyard, the manual, which, trust me, you do want to hold on to this, and then also a USB-C cable for charging. And here it is, the Sofirn SC28. And this is quite a powerfully built flashlight. 2,800 max lumen output with a 21700 replaceable battery. That's right, you can actually replace the battery on here. And if you unscrew right here, you can pull it out and you'll see it's one big honking chunk of a battery, 5,000 milliamps. And that's what's going to really drive that 2,800 lumens. And it's got an impressive spec sheet, guys. Let's talk about what do you get out of this 5,000 milliamp hour battery and this high powered LED. First of all, eco mode is 1 lumen. That's going to be comparable to things like moonlight mode, and that'll last you 1,000 hours. And it's got a distance of 6 meters. It's not supposed to be the most, super high powered mode. This is going to be kind of an emergency mode situation. You just need a little bit of light and you need it to last a long time, and it will, 1,000 hours. Then it goes into low mode, which is 100 lumens. That'll last you 15 hours. A mid mode, which is 350 lumens. That'll last you for 6 hours. High mode is 1,200 lumens. That'll last for 4 hours. But here's the best part. I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. The best part is, why use 1,200 lumens at 4 hours when you could use 2,800 lumens for 3 hours? And it's not just a, short range light either. That will go as far as 223 meters and contains 12,400 candela. It is IPX68, so that means that you're good for up to 1 meter of submersion in the water, 1 meter of drop resistance. Ultimately, this has all of the makings of a super powerful EDC flashlight. And I really think that it performs well. Let's talk about operation. And this is where some people are having some issues. Now, that is going to be because it is a bit different. First of all, it is tail cap actuated. There is no other buttons on here. And there are other Sofirn lights that do have the top mounted button to help with that operation. But in this case, we only have the tail cap. Now, it's a bit weird because the way that this works is that before you turn the light on, a half press will change the modes. And there are 2 programming modes for this. One is going to be your regular, and then the other one is going to be your tactical or your duty mode. Regular mode operation works like this. A half press will get a momentary on, but if you quickly half press multiple times, you can switch through the eco, low, mid, high, and then of course turbo, like this. So once you find the one you want, you can do a full press, and there it is. It'll stay there. And then it'll remember that if you do another full press. So this is very much a light that is going to perform very well when you actually know what mode you're going to be using it in most of the time. You set it, forget it. You don't have to remember, because the light will in fact remember. Now, if you want to change modes, what you do is you turn it on, wait for the blink, and then rapidly double click, and now you should be in the secondary mode. The secondary mode is going to be a turbo mode, strobe, and then also mid. So now that we've changed the programming over to the active duty mode, if you do a half press, now we can get into strobe. If we do another half press, it'll go into turbo. Another half press will go into turbo, or excuse me, mid. So it goes mid, strobe, turbo, strobe, mid. It's kind of eclectic, but it's going to reduce the modes down to just what you would need in potentially an emergency situation. The body of this is in fact aluminum. We have the charge port right here, which is of course USB-C, and this rubberized cover is going to do a pretty good job of keeping things like dust, dirt, moisture, and water out of it. In the hands, it feels good. It is actually quite a bit chunkier than all my other EDC lights, but it does come with a pocket clip. One thing on this clip is that you can't necessarily use it on the brim of your hat, because this is not going to be reversible. I'm going to go ahead and pop up some quick size comparisons on the screen between the Sofirn SC28. We'll also put up the Olight Baton 3 Pro Max. We'll put up the Nightcore EDC 33, and also a few other flashlights, just to give you an idea. Now, it is kind of bulky in comparison to those other lights, so I actually don't necessarily think that this would be as carry friendly, just because it is going to take up more space in the pocket itself. But I do think that it'd be great to put in, say, your backpack or your glove box or your sidearm compartment in your vehicle. I think that it would work really well there. As you can see, the LED is going to be in this pattern right here, which is going to give it more of a floodlight. So this floodlight doesn't necessarily have a hot spot. It's going to disperse that light really well and be pretty soft around the edges. But I do wish that we had features on here like a full momentary press to get into, say, strobe mode for some self-defense purposes. Or if you press and hold on a half press, maybe go into strobe mode. Something like that would be very useful for people that are considering using this as a backup self-defense option. And that's just something that I think would go a long ways as far as the user interface is concerned. Now, I do have to hand it to Sofirn, because they released this light, and originally it had 3 different programming modes. They got a lot of feedback from the community that said, hey, that's too much. There's just a lot going on here. And then they reduced it down to 2 programming modes. What I'd like to see now is possibly a firmware update. I don't know if that's possible, if they can just update the firmware and have people plug this into their computers to update the chip in here. I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, my suggestion would be program it so that when you hold a half press for longer than a second, it automatically goes into strobe mode. That would be the one feature that I think is really missing on this. Otherwise, these are less than $50, and I will include links in the description both to Amazon as well as to their home website. If you want, you can make sure that you get this shipped to your door pretty quick, fast, and in a hurry with Amazon. For under $50, this is actually a very high performance flashlight. Keep in mind, guys, that a lot of the other flashlights that I've shown in that comparison sheet, they have turbo modes that have high lumen outputs, but they last for what? A minute, 60 seconds, 5 minutes. 2,800 lumens on this light will last you for 3 hours. And I think that that's pretty darn cool. If you polish up the user interface a little bit, this is going to be one amazing flashlight for the price. And if you're not bothered by it at all, I would highly suggest that you go ahead and pick one up, because you could do a lot worse for the money. Now it's time we have a conversation in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Sofirn SC28? Are you going to pick one up? If not, why not? Let me know. And if you want to watch more awesome knife and EDC related content, make sure to click on one of the videos that pops up next.